Hello and welcome back to Small Talk. We've got a great episode ahead as we speak with a duo from Puget Sound. I'm your host, Katie Mucci. Each week on this show, we highlight the past and present of Division III, with both current and former student athletes joining to talk about their experiences, their favorite on-campus spots, the craziest road trip stories, and more. This week, we've got Davis Franklin, a current member of the baseball team, alongside the program's head coach, Jeff Halstead. We talk about themed bus rides, McDonald's meal stipends, their D3 experience, and more. Thanks for joining this week. Now it's time for some small talk.
Hi, I'm Davis Franklin. I'm a current junior on the baseball team at the University of Puget Sound.
Hi, I'm Jeff Halstead. I'm a former baseball player at the University of Puget Sound and also happen to currently be the head baseball coach there.
Well, welcome both of you. Thank you so much for hopping on here today with me. I'm excited to chat. It's not every day for this podcast that we get not only a alum with a successful career there, but also someone who came back and decided to spend some more time with their college. So thanks for hopping on here. Excited to chat with both of you. First thing, I always like to start this podcast out by talking about the campus experience. It's obviously changed from when you were there as a student athlete coach to now. So I'll have you kick it off and say, what were some of the hot spots around campus, places you and your teammates went to eat or hang out, things like that. And then Davis, let us know if any of those are still there, if you guys go to the same places. So Coach, kick us off.
Yeah, that is actually pretty remarkable how much our campus has changed just in the time from I've graduated to now. But the sub or the student union building is kind of where there's the bookstore and there's a couple different places to eat. And so that certainly when I was here was a really kind of in your free time in between classes, after practice, you go down there, grab a bite to eat, and you kind of just hang out. There's a place called the Pizza Cellar in the basement there that has, TV. You could watch the football game. And so I'd say on campus, that was sort of the spot for us. If we weren't, I was a member of the Greek system as well. So hanging out at our Greek house was certainly something we would do. But then off campus, there's a place called MSM, which is a pretty famous sandwich place in town that I still go to probably once a week. We're running on 20 plus years of doing that. So I think that was really popular when I was at school and certainly since then, even for myself. So.
Yeah, and then for us, the student union building or the sub is absolutely kind of the biggest place on campus to hang out. It's always great to see teammates there and grab a bite to eat. And then, like Coach mentioned, heading down to the Pizza Cellar and watching a football game or catching up with some teammates is really fun. The MSM Sandwich Deli is definitely really popular. Another popular spot is a 24-hour Mexican place in town called Memo's Mexican Food. So if you're up late night studying with some teammates or just want to get a bite to eat 24 hours a day, it's always a great spot to go.
A 24-hour Mexican food spot is incredibly dangerous as a college kid, I would imagine.
Absolutely.
Sounds great right now, those late night working and yeah. That's great. So one question for the student athletes I like to ask, or the current student athletes I like to ask, is when you've got the family in town or someone who maybe has more money to spend than a college kid, what is the spot that you ask them to take you?
Oh man, there's another Mexican place right down the street called Brewers Row. That's really popular that we enjoy. Down by Point Ruston in Tacoma, there's some really nice places to eat as well. The Ram. So yeah, my family's from Sammamish, so only about an hour drive away. So if they're down, we're definitely hitting one of those places.
So now that's on campus and around campus. Let's talk about on the road. So D3, for the most part, you don't travel a ton by plane or anything, but you guys being one of our Western region teams, you might have to hit the travel a little bit more. I did look at your schedule for this year. It looks like you guys have a pretty solid West Coast schedule this season. And Coach, is that the norm, or are you guys usually flying all around?
Yeah, traditionally we're going to stick mostly Western United States. We've done Arizona, we've done Texas in some years, but quite honestly, mostly because it's usually early in the season. Going to the Midwest or the East Coast isn't going to get as much better weather, so we try to go south and warm when we can. So.
Very true. So Coach, this is another one that's always fun to hear answers from. When you were traveling, and you obviously control the travel now a bit, but when you were traveling as a student athlete, were you guys getting nice charter buses? Were you getting in vans with your coaches at the wheel? What was the situation for you back then?
I think the travel may be probably the single biggest change from the time I played, because we were We must have been on a much tighter budget when I played, because we were lucky if we got two vans, and then hopefully coach was going to drive his car so we could get a couple kids into that. And it was, if we won, it was $10 at McDonald's, and if we lost, it was $5. And yeah, so it was a little bit different world than the nice buses our guys get. And we only flew once in my 4 years here, so it was a lot more, long or long van rides to, places like Lewiston, Idaho, and Boise, Idaho, because it would be drier there early in the year, and then just conference play. And then, now we get to obviously travel a little bit more outside of the Pacific Northwest. So, but it was, yep, you got to know your teammates pretty well in 15 passenger vans. So.
Were the coaches at the wheel? Are they driving?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Coaches were at the wheel. Hoping they'd stay awake and.
Yeah. How terrifying! Is there a certain coach you were like, I don't want to be in their car?
Well, no one really, and I loved the head coach that I played for. I mean, an incredible human being, but no one ever wanted to ride with him after the games, because if we lost, he was going to be really grumpy. So I actually adopted Coach Walls, who's actually still on our staff. He jokes he comes with the field. So he was mine from the time I was a freshman to a senior, sat right behind him for 4 straight years. And yeah, so Coach Walls was the one that I always wanted. He was our pitching coach at the time.
All right, that's funny. So Davis, it sounds like you guys might have a little bit better now. Talk about your experience in I guess you're going into your third year now, I think, or the last couple of years you've been on the team. Talk about what the travel's been like. Have you guys had any cool spots you've gone to? What's that been like over the last couple of years?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm thankful for the situation that it is now. We've been in nice charter buses, and we'll go to places like Spokane, Washington, and Walla Walla, Washington, and then go down to the Portland area to play some schools. But then, at least a couple times a year, we've gotten the chance to travel by plane down to California and play some schools around Los Angeles, which has been a really cool experience. I mean, there's nothing like being on the road with the team and being in beautiful weather and stuff like that. So. And also, luckily, our food money is not dependent on how we do. So I'm sure that'd be an added motivation, but we still get to eat if we lose. Yeah.
That's a good point. I know there's been some inflation, but $5 at McDonald's doesn't sound like you're getting a lot of food after that loss. Now let's talk about academics. So the student part of student athlete. I believe I saw, Coach, your major. Ooh, I looked it up on your bio, but now I'm forgetting what I saw. What was your major when you were in school?
Yeah, I was a business major, and then actually stuck around for a 5th year here and got my master's in teaching. So, but that was my actual major while I was an undergrad, was business.
Great. And Davis, what's your major right now?
Yeah, I'm a history major and an education minor. So studying to be a teacher.
Very cool. So maybe a little bit of overlap there between your master's program, Coach, and you now, Davis. Have you guys talked about that at all? Any professors that kind of overlap between the two of you that have hung around?
Yeah, certainly. I think history was actually what I thought I was going to be a major in, and so we definitely had some crossover over there. I think we both share a passion for U.S. history specifically, but just history in general. So a lot of our player meetings, I think, Davis, you and I will sometimes divulge into our favorite, books and movies and things like that we've watched. But one professor in particular, Nancy Bristow, is a very, very popular history teacher on campus here, who by far my most favorite instructor that I had at Puget Sound. And I think Davis has had a few classes with her and has enjoyed that. So yeah. And David, I'll let you answer that as well.
Yeah, I mean, Nancy Bristow is definitely just kind of a legend on campus, and someone who so many people have taken and really enjoyed. So as it was when Coach Halstead was a student, it's definitely still that way. And yeah, it's awesome that we have this shared passion for history and trade book recommendations, movie recommendations, and it's kind of just another added layer to the relationship. So very cool.
And Davis, sticking with you really quick, when you were coming out of high school and looking around at what your opportunities were for college, what made you choose Puget Sound?
Yeah, I mean, I think a big thing is just kind of a feeling when you come on campus. It's a really special campus, aesthetically, and then just talking with Coach Halstead and the coaching staff and looking at some of the academic opportunities as well as the athletic opportunities, it was really all I could ask for, and in a place not too far from home as well.
And Coach, you obviously came there for academics and baseball back when you were a player, but now you came back, you stuck around for a little bit longer, and you're back now as a coach. What has made you stick around this program and the school in general?
Yeah, I think I mean the unique thing is I actually really never left. I became an assistant coach right after I graduated into that for quite a few years, and then was fortunate enough to get a chance to take over. But I think why I never left, my passion or my interest in going into coaching was wanting to, help continue to build the program, because it was more the program I cared about than actually being a baseball coach per se. And I had such an outstanding experience at school that I wanted to try to help the future, guys that came to play here to have not the same experience as me, but the kind of the same feeling about their experience. And so that's sort of what drove me into staying here. And then obviously was fortunate enough to get a chance to lead the program, after a few years as an assistant. And so I just think it was my love of this place and everything that it kind of stands for, and what I thought the program could get to, really was the driving force behind staying here. So.
Awesome. Now let's get into some story time. So the first one I'm going to have you each share with me is your funniest or craziest but appropriate story during your time. So Davis, I'll have you kick it off.
Sure. Yeah, this is kind of part of the travel, but I think one thing that's was definitely something that carried over to my freshman year and we've done since is bus ride themes. So whenever we're on a bus, some guys will get together and pick a theme. So we've done a prom before where guys will dress up and we'll have dates with each other. We've done costumes, we've done twins. So it just kind of another thing for team camaraderie, and a lot of the costumes and the memories on those trips are really, really funny.
Don't forget trivia night too. It's put a hole in my bank account for all the prizes. But we like to do trivia night as well on the buses.
Okay,
Absolutely.
okay. Does the theme for trivia night go along with the theme for the outfits, or just kind of you guys doing all history trivia so you can win that one?
Yeah, exactly. No, we try to mix up with the theme of trivia, kind of some current events, and then a lot of sports history just to keep our guys interested in that. So.
Very cool. Well, I'm gonna have to reach out to your SID and see if I can get some pictures of these theme travels. I think that would be fun for our social media. Coach, what about you? What's your funniest or craziest story?
Oh goodness. I mean, all the funny ones really revolve around just kind of the times with your teammates. But I think one that comes up the most when I get together with my old team. So again, loved the coach Ken Garland, who I played for here. Really, really intense individual, but just the kindest human being you can imagine. And it was my senior year, and they had recently changed the bat rules, and there was a miscommunication as we kind of went into the season about, were we all buying our own bats or were they buying team bats? And so we get ready for our first tournament. We were heading over to Lewiston, Idaho, and we didn't have any legal bats. And so that's embarrassing enough, but Coach Garland had to go up to his mentor, who was in the tournament as well, who he had coached for previously, and I know he thought the world of, and ask him if we could borrow their bats, which I'm sure was sort of humbling for him. But the really funny part of the story was that he came back, and we had some small guys on the team, and so we're like, hey, coach, we need a 32-inch bat. Those are all 33s and 34s, and so he had to go back and ask the coach for a 32, and the coach's response to him was, you guys don't need a bat, you need a weight room. And so we all got, when after our jaws, picked up off the floor that he'd said that to him, we all get a pretty good laugh out of that. So that's one of those funny moments that always stick with me.
I bet you're reading that rule book very closely these days. Awesome. So those are funny or crazy, but let's talk about memories that maybe mean a bit more or just mean a lot to you from your time. Coach, I'll have you kick that one off, and then Davis, you can follow up with yours.
Yeah, I think probably as a player, the one moment that sticks with me the most. So there was a team in our conference that was a national power all 4 years that I was playing. And as a sophomore, just to show kind of the growth we've taken, as a sophomore in a 4-game series, they beat us by over 100 runs. So by an average of 25 runs a game, to show how far we were from being competitive with them. And my senior year at home, we finally beat them for the first time over 4 years. And I'll just that kind of that feeling of, wow, we kind of knocked them off for the first time of 4 years of kind of getting thumped, was a moment that, was really special for me individually as a player. And I think as a program was a big step for us. So.
This for me was my freshman year, and just kind of leading up to the season and throughout the winter and into the season, one person who really stood out as kind of a leader and a really hard worker, his name was Shane Hameda, who was a senior. And so I remember we were playing Pacific, who has been really a powerhouse and top of the conference, and really hard fought game. And Shane ended up hitting a walk-off hit to win the game. And just the excitement for him, and how excited everyone on the team was for his success, and just knowing how hard he worked was a really special memory, I know, for him and for all of us.
I always love when people's favorite memories are like team memories, not just, hey, I did this really cool thing. That's great. And coach, maybe a second thing for you, but as a coach now, do you have a favorite memory as the coach?
Yeah, that certainly was really high up there. I think there's two that really stick out, and I'll go through them kind of quickly. So the year after COVID hit, our conference played that year, but we were only allowed to play conference teams. Our team, came back. We didn't really know what it was going to be like. We went through all of these ups and downs, dealing with all the testing and everything we had to do, and were players going to be able to clear to play that week. And it ended up being a really, really positive season. And we went into the very last weekend. We go over to Walla Walla to play Whitman, and we were playing 4-game series that time, and we had to win 3 of the 4 to have the first winning record at school in quite a while. And it was just such a special weekend. It was seniors, their last games. We'd gone through so much together, and we ended up playing phenomenal baseball, won the first 3, had that first winning record. And it was, just one of those really cool memories as a coach, of just seeing those guys and those seniors especially get to enjoy that, after having the season before taken away, and enjoy that success. So that was really cool. And I think a big step for our program, some of the success we've had the last couple of years since then. So.
Great. All right, now we're going to kind of start to wrap it up. So as you knew from before we hopped on here today, this podcast is part of our 50th anniversary of Division III celebration. So all year long, we've been interviewing current and former student athletes to just get their experiences and hear some more about how things have changed over the last, sometimes it's been 5 years, sometimes 20, 30, 40 years. So I have a couple more questions for you guys, and they kind of relate to just Division III and your experience. So first one, and I'll have Davis start this one. Can you talk about what it means to you to be a D3 student athlete, and maybe what that has given you, whether it's academics or being involved in other things around campus? I know, Coach, you mentioned Greek life that maybe isn't available to you if you're not in Division III. So Davis, what's this experience meant to you?
Absolutely. I think what's so special about being a part of Division III is you get this fantastic competitive college baseball experience, and you're surrounded by people who are really into it. But then at the same time, you get an incredible academic experience, and the coaching staff really cares about you as a person and as an academic perspective. And you're also surrounded by guys who really care about their academics, and who have amazing plans for after college. I mean, you wouldn't believe some of the smarts that these guys have on this team. So I just think what's incredible about it is just the balance of life, the community, and you can get everything you'd ask for. An athletic experience that's fantastic, as well as great academics.
Yeah, I think, as an athlete myself, what, I appreciated about the opportunity at Puget Sound was I was able to play varsity football, played varsity baseball, did join the Greek system, was able to play intramural basketball, in during the winter. And, obviously on the academic side of things, it's an incredible school. So I was able to take the classes I wanted to take, that I was interested in, receiving a phenomenal education. And so those were the experiences that being a Division III athlete allowed me to have. That, as Davis mentioned, it's the athletic side, incredibly competitive. You have, the same drive, the same passion, the same competitiveness that you would find at any level. Our guys just have some opportunities in the off season to get involved in other aspects of college life, which I think, when you're my age, you look back and really appreciate. So
Definitely. Now, my last question for both of you is, what do you think, or what do you hope to see for the future of Division III? We're 50 years down, many more to come. Coach, I'll have you kick this one off.
Oh, goodness. I've seen so much growth in Division III, especially on the West Coast, and just how competitive and how high quality speaking specifically to baseball, that it is. And I think with some of the uncertainty at the Division I level and with the direction some of those things are going, I'm hoping that it will just continue to grow the competitiveness at our level, that, maybe where kids are transferring to Division I level back and forth, might give us some opportunities for some really high caliber athletes to continue to, you know what, I'm going to go to the Division III school, get that incredible education, and it doesn't mean I'm sacrificing anything that I'm looking for on the baseball side of things. So, I just hope to see, Division III continue to grow, and I think it will. And yeah, so, I actually feel really optimistic about the future of Division III athletics.
Yeah, like Coach mentioned, I think just an increased awareness in how amazing it is at the D3 level, and that would come with increased competitiveness. And that was something that I didn't even quite realize until I got to visit the University of Puget Sound and just see, the athletic facilities and talk to the coaches and hear about the programs and then hear about the academics. So I just think hoping for increased awareness, which leads other prospective athletes like me to realize what an incredible opportunity it is.
That's a perfect way to end this. Thank you both for joining me again today. I know you are less than a month away from your first game. I'm sure you guys are both very eager to get out on the field and get back to playing. So thank you so much for hopping on here, and it was great to chat with you today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Katie.
Thanks, Katie.
To everyone listening, thanks for tuning into this episode of Small Talk. We post new episodes every Thursday. To follow along with everything Division III, you can find us on social media at NCAA D3 or NCAA DIII. Make sure to join the conversation with us all year long by using the hashtag DIII50. Have a great day, and we'll see you for some more Small Talk next week.